Do we like the cover photo? Would you say it's highly creative? Could it pass for like award-winning art? Awesome. I made it in about 30 seconds with AI. Cool. So we're gonna talk about AI today. We're gonna talk about marketing today. We're gonna talk about branding. Sound good for topics? Nice little anniversary event here today. So big ups to CCEI. All right, so we're gonna kick off. I'm Pete Sena, I'm a creative entrepreneur. Thank you for the awesome introduction. I do a lot of angel investing. I've been building businesses for the past 17 years. And fun fact, look at this guy. This guy right here, or as they lovingly called me at UConn when I was a student there, Pete the Geek. So that was me in my UConn dorm room at McMahon in 2004. So I have a special place in my heart for UConn for so many different reasons. And I could not be happier to see all the entrepreneurship and the dedication to entrepreneurship that's happening in this program. So for everyone and everything that you folks do, whatever you do, no job is too small. Everything is super, super appreciated. So on that, that's me. If you don't know me, which many of you probably don't because you don't look very familiar to me, I will go ahead and just show you a little bit about some of the things I build. So in addition to building a branding agency back 17 years ago, I also built a tech innovation campus called District, which I'll show you a quick little video of. And then I'll show you some of the stuff I'm doing with AI and Web3. And then we'll talk about the actual talk. So that's our campus District. That amazing guy in the back right there with the camera, he did that video. So round of applause for him because that's dope. I get hype every time I watch that. And you know, I'm in that building every day, but when I see that video, that's in New Haven, Connecticut. Yeah, right off exit 5 on 91. So those things I build. I don't just build digital businesses, I build physical businesses, and I love entrepreneurship. And when I think about entrepreneurship, I think that shortcuts are really important because entrepreneurship's hard and there are no easy wins in entrepreneurship. Everyone's an overnight success, but usually takes like a decade or more. So we're gonna talk about some shortcuts today. But before I do that, I'd just like to give you guys a little bit of context as to who's the person standing in front of you right now, besides the nerdy kid from the UConn dorm room a couple of years ago at this point. The gray hairs are kicking in. So the thing that I focus a lot of my time and energy on right now is something that we call DS3. DS3 is the Web3 side of my digital surgeons consultancy business. So now we've got an amazing leadership team that we have running the business day to day. So essentially stepped out of the day to day of running the company. And now I work on a lot of our innovation projects, skunkworks projects, investing, that sort of thing. So I'll show you what that looks like really quick. Hopefully the video will not be as loud as the other one. And then we'll get to the actual talk.
Hello, we are DS3, a skunkworks team of technologists, creatives, and strategists building future-facing brands and experiences for the next generation of the web.
I believe that there's way too many people out there that talk the talk and don't walk the walk. So I only want to put things out there that me and my team are doing day in, day out. So everything you folks are going to see are real experiments, real businesses. Many of these are revenue generating assets because I believe if I came in here and talked to you guys about all the great things about AI, I would just be some poser and then there'd be no reason for you to listen to me. So I know that because I remember sitting in the seat that you're sitting in right now when someone came on with a big title or a big business card and they were just completely full of shit. And I aim to not be full of shit. So on that, so really quick, when I say the word AI, what are some pictures that come to your mind? What are some thoughts, some stories, some ideas? Throw them out there.
I don't know if anyone in this room is familiar with this show, Reboot.
Love that show.
As a kid.
Okay, reboot show, got it.
Yep.
Other pictures, just throw them out there, just call them out. No, RoboCop. What else we got? What?
Skynet.
Skynet, awesome. Terminator 2. How about you in the back? You just sat down. AI. Her, awesome. Automated movie, right? Other ideas? Most of the things that you folks said, not one of them was really positive, right? So when we think about AI, we often think about robot Sophia up here on the top left, coming over, killing humans, Terminator 2, Skynet. There's this dystopian reality. But the reality is every single one of us use AI every day. When we go and take a quick selfie with a bunch of friends when we're out for drinks and we've got that shaky hand because we've had one too many cocktails, AI automatically stabilizes that photo for us and gives us a nice clear photo. If not, it'd be a blurry photo, right? If you take a regular camera like the one in the back. AI helps us with Alexa, getting things done, ordering things when we're buying on Amazon. AI is all around us, but AI has a lot of concerns for some people. So today I'm going to talk to you about some of the more tame uses of AI, specifically because I know there's a lot of marketers in the room. We're going to talk about how AI can be used as a tool for marketing. So with that, what if I told all of you folks in the room that AI could save you time, right? We're all so damn busy. Just a show of hands. If I said AI can save you time, who here wants to save some time? Okay, if your hand didn't go up, I know you're not listening, in which case it's totally cool. You can leave. Just kidding. So Mark Andreessen, legendary venture capitalist from Andreessen Horowitz, Silicon Valley, top place. Back in 2011, he said, "Software is eating the world." Anybody hear that quote? Couple of head nods here. Well, I think we can all say at this point that software ate the world and now AI is eating software. We are in the era of AI. More importantly, we're actually moving towards AGI, which is general intelligence, not just artificial or augmented intelligence. So things are getting real out there, folks. They're getting real. So what if I told you that computation, right, computers being able to calculate things could enhance your creativity? Enhance your creativity in your life, maybe with your life partners, or maybe in your work, or maybe in your businesses. For the founders out there, you guys would probably be pretty excited about that. So with AI on your side, you can do a lot of things better. You can make decisions faster. You can eliminate creative block, right? That blank page when we were a writer trying to stare at the blank page, or a designer or a marketer, PowerPoint, whatever it is, starting from a blank page is paralyzing today, especially when we reach in our pockets and there's just so much doom scrolling information all around us. So with AI on your side, if you know how to use it, you don't have to be a mathematician. You don't have to be a PhD, right? I'm not either of those, but I use AI every single day. AI can help you ship products faster. So I believe that we as a society, we as a civilization, we have to evolve, right? We started out, depending on what you believe, theory of evolution, I'm not going to get to that topic today, but we had primitive tools to start. We have enough evidence in history, there's enough science out there to show that we had primitive tools. And we somehow went from having primitive tools to more advanced tools to doing this all day on our Zoom rooms, right? Most of us having life, wearing masks now with COVID. I believe that we need to evolve. And I think the best way for us to evolve is to take the dull and dirty and boring jobs that many of us do every single day and move those over to computers. Those jobs can be automated. And I think that this is a rally cry. And listen, with good comes bad, right? We need, absolutely, as a society, we have to create upskilling programs. We have to do workforce development and many types of things to make sure that many people are not left unemployed in a way where they don't have value to contribute to society. I agree with that. But this is not a talk about ethics. This is not a talk about copyright. This is not a talk about job creation. This is a talk about how you folks in this room can use AI. So just, what is this? Just call it out if you see it. It's the patent for a paintbrush back in 1885. Now this happens to be the kind of paintbrush we would use to paint houses and those types of things. Right now, almost no house painting is done with a regular paintbrush, unless you want to get overcharged and have not really great quality. But the reality is the original paintbrush back in the Renaissance, these painters, these artists, the folks that used the original paintbrushes, they were godlike. They were held under high regard by kings and queens and invited into kingdoms and brought out of whatever life they started because they were super powerful. Well, when the camera came around, which we see here on this screen, the painters were pretty pissed, right? Because they're like, the only way for me to capture your essence for you and your family and generations was I could paint you. But now when the camera came out, I could just snap a photo, right? We had the camera obscura to start, followed by regular cameras. And now we've got cameras in our pockets, every single one of us, snapping selfies here and there, right? So cameras really changed a lot of things for us. But I think what's super interesting is that if we look at this photo, just anybody seen this in person? Sistine Chapel? Awesome, couple hands go up. Is it any less beautiful when you go to see it in person? Is it more beautiful in person when you experience it with the atmospherics and the acoustics? Or is it more beautiful when you watch it on Decentraland or in Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse? It's more beautiful in person, right? Because there's so much energy that went into that. So could I recreate this in AI in 15 seconds? Absolutely. But is it going to still have the same value? I think the answer is a hard no. So what I like to think about is, what is the interplay that we as a society, we as a human species and civilization can have? How do we play with these AIs? How do we play with these machines? And that's what I'm here to talk to you folks about today. So, little drawing here in a notebook. It's a pen and ink drawing. This is not a psychology test, but if it was, what is this a drawing of? A robot, right? And if I asked you to sort of draw this with ink, your wrist would probably hurt because nobody uses their hand anymore, right? But how long do you think it would take me to draw this? 20 minutes? Wow, he's a pretty good artist right there. I'm going to call you to the front. Well, this took me about 15 seconds with AI. I used a product called Midjourney, which I'll show you later on. And this is the prompt I used to make that happen. The image you see on the right was generated with code. AI did this. A robot silhouette walking right, monochromatic ink. And it was created by a tool called Midjourney AI. We're going to talk about a couple of those different tools today. But the power of this now is would you consider yourself an artist? Throw hands up. Makes me sad. There's not a lot of hands went up when I said artist, right? Show of hands. Do you consider yourself creative? A couple more hands went up. Okay, awesome. CCI is doing their thing right now. I appreciate y'all. But the reality is now this is a tool for inclusion, because every single person on a team, from the intern all the way up to the CEO, irrespective of background, can contribute ideas to the table now. So I want us to think about AI as a tool for co-creation. I want to think of it's in our tool belt, like Batman, right? It's not replacing other things. This is not going to replace an original piece of art, right? It's because in many ways, these things are just tools in the craft, right? Who here has not seen the movie Iron Man, right? MCU fans in here? Please, is Pete the Geek only the geek in the room? I mean, come on, guys. All right, awesome. So some folks have seen Iron Man. This is a really exciting thing. It's what I want to talk to you guys about a lot today, which is the interplay between AI. So here the fictitious character Tony Stark is talking to his super AI Jarvis, and he's modeling something and he's creating a new product here. He's got this holographic technology. And what I love about this is science fiction and the movies always show us two things. They show us the future and they show us dystopia. But what they don't show us is how these things contribute to the work that we do every single day in a meaningful and powerful way. So what I'm going to talk to you about first is text to copy. We're talking about text to copy, text to image, text to video, even typing and having code written for us. I'll give you guys demos of all that today. So 2022 unequivocally was the year of AI. Startups are getting a bunch of venture capital. Before the world, announced that it was dooming itself, we saw lots of money flowing in Silicon Valley and all over the world for all things AI. You folks probably heard about things like OpenAI or GPT-3. If you're not living under a rock, you probably saw things about DALL-E 2 or Midjourney. I see a lot of head nodding right now. That's happening. So 2022 is the year of AI. And if you haven't seen the CB Insights AI 100 report, take a photo of this and snap it right now, because honestly, AI is disrupting every single possible category, from consumer packaged goods, yeah, I'm talking to you, Ryan, to retail, to finance, to marine, to AI, to data, to synthetic, every single possible way, every category, every subcategory, nature, climate tech, fintech. You pick a thing, tech is influencing it, and AI is influencing that tech. So this is from the CB Insights AI 100 report. You can go on and download it for free. I highly recommend checking it out if you're not familiar with it. And what this does is this breaks down all the different things, just a snapshot of the different companies that are using AI. So don't take my word for it, folks. There's a lot of really smart venture capitalists that are doing much more important things than I am. So with that, let's talk about text to copy for a second. We talked about text to image. We'll go through some demos in a bit, but let's start with text to copy. So just a show of hands, who's familiar or used a tool called Copy AI or Jasper? Okay, so a few hands went up, that's great. So for those of you that aren't familiar, what these tools basically allow you to do is put in a series of prompts with text, and then it spits out an auto writes copy. And it's typically trained on millions or billions of different records. So in the case of Copy AI, they've actually studied millions of different ad campaigns, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, website blog copy, landing page copy. And they've trained these machine learning models, these computers essentially, to be able to understand and represent your language, your questions, and then spit out really engaging content. So some of you are probably like head nodding right now, being like, yeah, that sounds cool. I've never used that before though. So let's talk about what that could do. So a lot of folks have been in business, and just show of hands, who's read an article over 1,000 words in the past 2 weeks? Okay. Who wishes they could just skim that a lot quicker? Every single hand in the room goes up, right? So first, let's talk about how you can take an article, summarize it really quickly. So this is Harvard Business Review. Article was posted on the 24th of November, so just a few days ago, and it's called, Does Influencer Marketing Really Pay Off? You don't need an AI for me to tell you, yes, it does, by the way. Influencer marketing does pay off. But you can see here the super, super long article. And it's kind of a lot of work, right? Probably someone with a pretty advanced reading level might read that in 15, 20 minutes and comprehend it. What if I popped it into this tool, OpenAI right here, and I told it, summarize this article into 10 bullet points. Boom, I hit submit. Instantly, you see the speed that this content's happening. It's automatically summarizing this article using AI. I really wish I had that when I was at UConn and had to read all those extra books for nothing, which I usually didn't read. And then I changed the length here, and I can say, summarize this article into 10 bullet points and no more than 900 words, if I could type. And boom, instantly. Summarizing a multi-thousand piece word content. So this is using a tool called OpenAI, which if you've read the news headlines in the past couple of days, they actually declared that OpenAI, specifically GPT-3 chat, which you'll probably see a lot more stuff in the next couple of weeks in journalists' eyes, is replacing Google. People are saying by asking a chatbot powered by this technology, the underpinning technology, you can get answers faster and at a higher degree of quality than actually going on Google yourself. Really, really scary stuff. Luckily, Microsoft has invested a lot of money in these folks. So Microsoft's coming for you. So what if I told you you could scale content creation, right? Summarizing an article, that's kind of a cool thing. But what if I told you you could summarize and scale content creation? Anybody here ever have to do social media marketing, either for yourselves or maybe have management? Lots of hands go up, right? It's super tedious because what I know as a person that builds brands for a living is consistency is really important. You know, making sure a brand's voice and tone is having the right tone is really important to building a brand, right? So I can come here and say, write a tweet about how you dislike Tesla cars in the voice and tone of Donald Trump. Now, the benefit of this, right? Love or hate the person, we all know what Donald Trump sounds like, right? So that's why I used him as an example, though it pains me to put him here in this talk. But moving forward, I pop this in here, and magic, I don't like Tesla cars. They're overrated, not worth the money. I'd rather drive something else. I'm like, I don't like that. Do another one. I don't like Tesla, make terrible cars. I'm all about American-made vehicles, not those foreign companies. But you can see I'm just pushing a button and I'm getting the Donald Trump tone of voice because this AI is trained on millions of characters and words and sentences and content that this particular person, our ex-president, put out into the public eye. So imagine for a moment if you had a brand evangelist, if you were the founder of your company, but you're really busy, right? Imagine if I could study 3 years worth of the content that you said, how you speak, how you respond to things. When you're asked a question, how do you respond? I could train an AI on that. And now, instead of you having to try to train 5 interns or junior people on how to create social content, I could auto-generate some of that stuff. And then really where creatives should be using is to curate the content, to figure out, oh no, Sahil wouldn't say that. Sahil would say it this way. But could we get 80% of the way there instead of wasting hundreds of hours on writing tweets for you, right? Probably bad use of your time as a founder or as an executive, right? So text to copy, text to content. These are just some of the use cases of AI. And I'm just getting started, folks. Text to image. We talked about that earlier. Let's dig into it. So who here has not seen or used DALL-E 2? Lots of hands. Okay. You get a video of a way smarter person explaining this than I am.
Have you ever seen a polar bear playing bass? Or a robot painted like a Picasso? Didn't think so. DALL-E 2 is a new AI system from OpenAI that can take simple text descriptions like a koala dunking a basketball and turn them into photorealistic images that have never existed before. DALL-E 2 can also realistically edit and retouch photos. Based on a simple natural language description, it can fill in or replace part of an image with AI-generated imagery that blends seamlessly with the original. It's called in-painting. In January 2021, OpenAI introduced DALL-E, a system that could generate images from text, like this avocado armchair. DALL-E 2 takes the technology even further with higher resolution, greater comprehension, and new capabilities, like in-painting. It can even start with an image as an input and create variations with different angles and styles. DALL-E was created by training a neural network on images and their text descriptions. Through deep learning, it not only understands individual objects, like koala bears and motorcycles, but learns from relationships between objects. And when you ask DALL-E for an image of a koala bear riding a motorcycle, it knows how to create that or anything else with a relationship to another object or action. The DALL-E research has 3 main outcomes. First, it can help people express themselves visually in ways they may not have been able to before. Second, an AI-generated image can tell us a lot about whether the system understands us or is just repeating what it's been taught. Third, DALL-E helps humans understand how AI systems see and understand our world. This is a critical part of developing AI that's useful and safe. The technology is constantly evolving, and DALL-E 2 has limitations. If it's taught with images that are incorrectly labeled, like a plane labeled car, and a user tries to generate a car, DALL-E may create a plane. It's like talking to a person who learned the wrong word for something. DALL-E can also be limited by gaps in its training. If you type baboon and DALL-E has learned what a baboon is through images and accurate labels, it will generate a lot of great baboons. But if you type howler monkey and it hasn't learned what a howler monkey is, DALL-E will give you its best idea of what it thinks it could be, like a howling monkey. What's exciting about the approach used to train DALL-E is that it can take what it learned from a variety of other labeled images and then apply it to a new image. Given a picture of a monkey, DALL-E can infer what it would look like doing something it's never done before, like paying its taxes while wearing a funny hat. DALL-E is an example of how imaginative humans and clever systems can work together to make new things, amplifying our creative potential.
Powerful tool. Sorry for blowing out of the room with the sound of the speakers there. AI can do lots of things. So I don't know, did you folks see the recent Cosmo cover that was done by AI? So on the thing, it's actually a little bit misleading because it says, and it only took 20 seconds to make. The AI might have took 20 seconds to generate it, but I'd be willing to bet that a person went through a number of different prompts, a number of different ideas to generate that. Also, what they don't talk about on the cover, which is why you shouldn't believe everything you read on the internet, is that it took millions of dollars of research and training and GPUs and technology to be able to train these AIs on input sources like you just saw in that video before, to be able to get to the case where it can start to generate these things. There's a lot of technology behind it. But again, you can start to see this stuff being used mainstream, right? If Cosmo is using AI to generate things on your cover, you should probably be using this in your businesses, in your startups, and in the different things that you're working on. If you folks haven't seen a site called Lexica, it's called lexica.art. It's basically Pinterest for Google, for art, basically. So on Lexica, what's really cool, you can see this right here, on this one, is you go on it, it generates just a random list of art that people have created. And then you can see here the actual prompt that people are using. So in this case, fiery palm tree ignites black background, sending flickering aesthetic firefly ashes toward viewer by Makoto Shinkai. Clearly probably an artist or a creative figure. So based on these words, the sort of lexicon that goes into this, now these images are being created. So if you haven't played with this stuff, I highly recommend it because it's getting really, really good. It's getting so good, in fact, that stock photo sites are scared shitless. They're scared shitless because it's entirely wiping out a bunch of, not that we ever need any more of that boring corporate stock photography in the world, but it's wiping these things out because now you can generate, a person at a Silicon Valley startup, presenting in front of a class of people, right? So you can do lots of different things with text to image. Now I'm going to show you something called outpainting, which I love. So you ever take a picture with your friends or for work, you're like, oh damn, I really wish that I had some more stuff in the photo. Like in this case, this crop is great, but what about the rest of the field that she's taking in? This image came from Unsplash, which is a free open source photo site, but watch what you can do with AI. Outpainting. Boom, AI corrects it for you, automatically fixes it. Boom, AI finishes the photo for you. And it's really good, right? Like unless you have a very, very trained eye, it's very hard to tell that this was done by an AI. The angles are right. I mean, it certainly does a lot better job than Kim Kardashian when she puts her selfies online. Removing objects from photos, adding objects to a photo here. This is called in-painting. Changing context from a tourist to a police officer. Changing the animal on the front of this boat. So the implications of these things are incredible, right? I mean, obviously there's a lot of ethics things to worry about in terms of deep fakes and those kinds of things. We're going to cover that a little bit later on today. But hopefully you folks are starting to see the possibility. I saw some people taking snaps. They want to try these things out. There's links. I will send this presentation out later too, but there's links to everything on the bottom of the deck as well. So now let's move on to text to video. So text to copy is pretty cool, right? Text to image is really cool. And we're talking about a year or two old, right? Like if you looked at, like, they call them diffusion models. If you looked at image models from some of this stuff 2 years ago, it was terrible. It was fuzzy, it was messy. It looked like you took it on like a old school Nokia phone. Though I know a lot of people in this room right now never had a Nokia phone. I'm old, I get it. So text to video. So let's talk about it. So the painters got pissed off at the photographers. The photographers got really pissed off when people started using Photoshop and automating these things. And now the Photoshoppers hate the AI people. Right? So there's a trend with new things come out and people get a little bit pissed off about it. So what I want to share with you folks today is I think that there is an entirely new era upon us. This right here, I generated this video with AI. And you can see how I did it in more detail here, but this goes from a paintbrush to a camera to a computer to hopefully a mind exploding emoji, which I can see on your faces right now. I'm not a PhD, I'm not a mathematician, but using some basic Python and some machine learning, I was able to generate this in, well, it generated when I finally figured it out in a couple minutes, but it took me a lot longer than that to figure out how to do it. But needless to say, text to video is among us, and it's not just a parlor trick, it's not just a party trick. Facebook or Meta AI, their AI research lab, launched Make a Video, which I would highly recommend getting on the waiting list for because everybody wants that. So you want to see what Make a Video looks like? Bored? All right, awesome. So let's see a teddy bear painting a portrait. Robot dancing in Times Square. A cat watching a TV with a remote in hand. My favorite, a fluffy baby sloth with an orange knitted hat. Can't say that 2 times fast. A clownfish swimming through the coral reef. A young couple walking in heavy rain. A horse drinking water. Now stylized. So, I mean, if I had these in my graphic design course at UConn, I could probably have skipped a whole bunch of work, right? Because it should make this stuff for me. But this stuff is, you can go online right now and download this stuff. You can get access to this stuff right now if you get early access. So we talked about text to copy, we talked about text to image, we talked about text to video. What's next, guys? What's next after? Can we guess? Text to audio. Sal, you got a gold star though, because we're coming for you. We're coming for you. All right, so text to audio. So I talked about ethics, so I want to just caveat what I'm about to show you I don't think is okay. In fact, I think it's actually pretty scary. So show of hands, anybody listen to Joe Rogan podcast? Anybody know who Joe Rogan is? Love or hate him? Okay, we all know who he is, right? You guys ever heard of the guy Steve Jobs? Okay, he's dead, right?
From the past. So without further ado, my friend who is difficult to describe and wonderful, and I'm so grateful he came on the show.
How's it going? Good to see you, buddy. It's been a long time since I've been on the show. I've missed this. It's always fun.
How's it going? Come on, tell me about jobs. It's always good to see you, buddy. I'm so happy you came on, man.
Yeah, it's great to be on the show. Your audience is just so different from your normal Apple users, and that's a good thing. It's cool.
Well, you know, I was an Apple user way before I did this show. I've been a fan of yours and Macintosh since the 1980s.
So you can see how some parts you can hear it. You're like the diction or the inflection. But there's a lot of parts of this that are really, really good. Almost scary. So what I love about technology like this is I use a tool called Descript. If you guys haven't heard of it, it's Descript. What's great about it is when I'm making videos like the one I'm talking to you about right now, if I make a mistake, I can replace one of the words really easily because it has my voice and it's trained on that. It's $20 a month. It's easy to use. It's great for social content creation, for cutting down marketing costs. See, I'm talking to you in the back. But what I love about tools like this is this is how in the new Top Gun movie, Top Gun Maverick, Val Kilmer, who unfortunately had throat cancer and couldn't speak, they trained an AI, multiple AIs, on his son's voice, on previous voices from him, and they were able to put some things in the movie. So what I think is really powerful about that is if you go back to some of the most brilliant minds of our time, right? If you go back to Stephen Hawking, right? Brilliant, brilliant mind. If AI was then where it is today, his ability to communicate with other people would have been that much easier for him, right? Increasing his quality of life and also spreading his great ideas. So I use that as one example is AI can be used for so many different good things, right? It can bring back the voices of our loved ones in some cases that aren't here any longer, but also it can be used to spread dis or misinformation, which I think creates a lot of challenges. And we'll talk more about that. Text to 3D is next, right? So we've probably heard tons of things around the metaverse and gaming and entertainment and all these different things, right? We all love a good movie. I don't know about you folks, but as a recent new dad, I would love it if I could start generating 3D Disney films for my kids so I don't have to watch the same one over and over and over and over again. I can recite every word in Cars. Great movie though. But so text to 3D model. So this is what that looks like. So this uses a tool called CLIP, or Contrastive Language Image Pre-training. So what CLIP does is it lets you interpolate a number of different symbols or objects, and they're actually recreating 3D models. And you can see here they're a little bit voxeled or kind of a bit rough right now, but they're getting better and they're being optimized. So you might ask yourself the question, okay, that's great, but I have no use for 3D. Well, what if you were an architect? What if you were concepting what this next building was going to look like? And what if you could save time on that? What if you could represent your ideas? If you're a physical goods company and you wanted to design a new storefront, we spend a ton of money on 3D modeling, 3D rendering. Wouldn't it be great if we could cut down those costs a little bit? If we can get to market a little bit faster, iterate faster? So this is just where text to 3D is going. And next, as you so gratefully called out early, Sahil, text to coding, right? So I know most of you are not like me. Most of you are not software engineers, right? So you can't just write code when you have an idea. And who has time to spend hours learning how to code and all those kinds of things, right? But what if you could have a pair programmer? So this was launched recently by GitHub. Obviously, GitHub was acquired by Microsoft. GitHub is an open source community for online code. It's basically a repository. They launched a product called GitHub Copilot. What they use is they use OpenAI to create the ability to write code. So you can see here, determine whether the sentiment of text is positive or not. And then it tells you to use a web service. And then this code automatically gets written. So if you're a non-coder, you can start to describe in pseudocode what these things look like. Yeah?
How does that mess with algorithms?
How does it what?
How does that mess with algorithms?
How does it mess with algorithms?
That right there can mess with algorithms.
So, great question. Next slide. So here's a good example. So this particular AI actually will define what a class does. So in the case of an algorithm where you have to symbolically represent different things, you would first want to get the logic down as to what the algorithm needs to do, and then you would want to define the set of computational steps you need to do through text to speech. So first you'd want to understand what the algorithm needs to do, and then you would want to describe it that way. So you would break the problem into a couple steps. That's how I would go about tackling that with code. Because all an algorithm is a set of inputs and outputs that go through a set of filters, and how that you use them impacts that. So for example, you mentioned TikTok. TikTok can see your facial feature because they use machine learning or computer vision learning, and they can see if you're happy or if you're sad. So if you start unsmiling in a video, like I had a piece of content on TikTok that got 150,000 views in 24 hours because I started talking about the TikTok algorithm. Lots of people saw it. Lots of people wanted to comment on it. Lots of people were arguing about it. And then TikTok kept showing that to more and more and more and more and more people. And then before you know it, my average piece of content gets like 1,000 views on my page. And this one got 100 and something, 50,000 views. So there's a lot of bias in these algorithms, so much that when you talk about them, people pay attention. So I think we have a very big social responsibility. But today is about possibility. So that's something, if it's okay, I'll keep moving. Is that cool? Perfect. But I love this discussion. We should talk after. So as Stacy was breaking it down for us, I think there's a lot of things we have to consider that we're not considering in this talk. And what it comes down to is that everything to everything AI is where the future is. So if you don't know about AI, if you're not already using it in a more way with intention, I would suggest you do that. So a couple things you can do with AI to make your jobs and lives easier. First, you can create content faster. So on the top left here is a site called Really Good Emails. So if you are in the business and have to write email marketing, like when you're bringing people to the 15th year anniversary or 16th year anniversary or whatever it is, you might need to write an email. Well, why start from a blank page? This site, reallygoodemails.com, lets you create content faster. I show you this site because if you use Copy AI or Jasper AI or OpenAI, 3 of the tools that we demoed earlier today, you can write this caliber of email without ever having to do that. You can say, I want to write an email. I want it to be 500 words. I want to talk about a 20% off sale I have. For some of our clients, we were writing Black Friday, Cyber Monday ads using AI, doing slight tweaks or slight curation, and then A/B split testing them. We ran 500 ads for one client just to see which one had the highest click-through rate. That client made over $1 million on e-commerce revenue. So, but because we were able to use AI to automate it. If we had one of our copywriters having to write 500 ads, we wouldn't be able to do it in time, right? So we generated tons and then we curated it down. We found the ones that were right. We tweaked the words, we moved things around, and we A/B split test them. We let them all run with paid media. And then we told the computer, hey, computer, whichever one breaks above this click-through rate and below this specific number, we set some parameters and we set it and forget it like an oven. We walked away. We were on to the next client. And then the next day we got an email from the client telling us that they want to hire us again for 2023. And we're like, cool, thank the computer. Thanks, computer. I think I paid $50 a month for that tool. Like, cool. So create content faster. Second, be more present. Show of hands, who's on a Zoom call at least once a week? I miss the days when you could afford to have someone to just sit there and take notes for you, because I'm not present if I'm trying to take all notes when you're talking, Lindsay, right? But I use this tool called Fathom. Fathom is a free tool. You install it. It auto joins your Zoom calls, of course, with consent. It says it on the screen, and it automatically takes notes for you. It automatically says, when I say, hey, Ryan, what's the action item coming out of that? It automatically captures that. When Ryan says, well, hey, wait, how did you A/B split test that thing? A question automatically gets flagged that person said. Very, very powerful tool. So never take notes again, ever, period, end of story. It's free right now. It's gonna be expensive pretty soon. So play with it while you can. I've been using it for a few months. That's awesome. Build your digital avatar, right? I can't tell you which company it is, but you would know who they are if I told you. We are currently working with a large global brand, and we are taking their influencer and we're making that influencer a digital human. So any of you will be able to go online 24/7, 365 and have a conversation with this particular influencer. And it's based on the likeness of a real human being, 3D scans of that person, as you can see here. And it looks pretty good. This one's a little bit more computery, but some of them look really good. We're not the first to do it, and we will not be the last. PacSun did it recently. They've already got, I think, about 1 million followers, if the last time I checked, in terms of that. So they're using this for customer service, right? This is replacing people picking up the phone in Bangalore, right? Who don't know how to uniquely address the context that we have living here in North America. I say that because there's a cultural disconnect, right? A lot of times if you call a customer service number and you get someone that's helping you out, they don't have the necessary resources to help you. So now when you cut down on time that we spend on customer service calls using a tool like this, you can increase things like average order value. You can reduce things like cycle time. You can improve things like net promoter score or customer satisfaction. So AI can be a really, really powerful tool, biases aside. You can also turn sketches. This is a sketch of a wireframe here. If you can see it, it's a little bit small. And you could automatically turn that into designs, all powered by AI. We're using AI tools right now to take a list of the highest performing components that we have on e-commerce sites. We're using that to basically recreate those components in a couple of lines of code. So we're saving time, we're cutting costs. You can personalize, segment, and turn your insights, whether you're e-commerce or website or content or social. You can personalize it, you can segment, and you can turn those insights into revenue. This is actually a screenshot of a platform called Einstein, which is Salesforce's machine learning platform. But there's tons of them out there. If you just Google AI marketing platform, you'll be overwhelmed with things that pop up on Google. Or ask GPT-3 it, you'll get a faster answer. You can automate your paid advertising, as I just shared with you guys just a few moments ago, right? Being able to test multiple things. Something as simple as the color of a button, what the button says, how quickly do I introduce the product versus showing the influencer first. I cannot pretend to tell you. I've been a creative director for, 10, 15 years at this point. I don't even know that the time goes very fast, but I can look at an ad and say, this is gonna perform better than anything. And it flops like crazy. But I don't submit those to the award shows. I only submit the ones that hit, right? But why do I have to do that now? What if I could use an AI to take a concept and generate multiple iterations of that concept and see which one performs best? Data is the currency of the future, and it matters how you guys use it. So again, as we talked about with Stacy just a few moments ago, do your own research, one thing that I would say. there are a lot of ethics problems in AI. If you've ever seen, deepfake Keanu or deepfake Tom Cruise, we'll show you guys some examples really quick. Big ethics problem. I think I read somewhere that there was a government official elected that was not even a real human in another country. I don't remember which country, but it was entirely an AI avatar. And there's also problems with copyright law. So one of the points that the person made earlier around coding was GitHub was recently sued because they were studying other people's code. So when they were suggesting code in theory, because I was basing the output of the code on code that you and you and you and you and you had already written, which was technically open source for non-commercial use. If I was to take that code from an AI and go and use that, I'm violating copyright law. If I was to generate a piece of art based on Vincent van Gogh's art style and his likeness, I'm going against, in some cases, copyright law for who owns that. So there's a lot of implications for you to think about. I think it's going to be the Wild Wild West out there. So folks that are in the legal profession, if you're not thinking about the role that AI and the blockchain and all these new technologies are going to play in your profession, you're going to miss out to someone who is, because there's going to be a lot of legal work, a lot of matters, a lot of claims, a lot of litigation. So what's that look like? Anybody seen the movie The Shining? Okay, a lot of hands up. Really good movie, right? Who is the main actor? Who was it? You said Jim Carrey? Wait, Jim Carrey? Jim Carrey. Who? No, it was Jack Nicholson, right? You said it was Jack Nicholson, right?
Oh my God.
Is it Jack Nicholson or is it Jim Carrey? This is Jim rewriting Stacy's algorithm right now. Just getting her. He's coming after her. So I'm not going to let it play out because it's a long video, but basically it's incredible how good it is. You guys seen deepfake Tom Cruise? Just a couple of you, not a lot of you. All right, I'm about half play this video. This is on TikTok.
Here's a trick my lawyer taught me in any meeting. You always have an alligator. Okay? Makes you better than a gator. Now, the only difference between a dog and a gator is a dog's bark is worse than its bite. Not so much with this guy. This guy with your face, right?
So that's a deep fake from Tom Cruise, trained on a machine learning model or set of models from when he was younger in his career. So it's an entirely TikTok account. It's got a ton of followers and a lot of engagement, and all of it is completely generated by AI. It's a video, and then they replaced the regular video with Tom Cruise's face and likeness. So covered a lot today, folks. I'm a pretty big nerd when it comes to all things AI, all things marketing. The thing I want you all to think about in what you do next is, how can you use AI as a tool for co-creation? How do we play with and collaborate with AI in a meaningful and positive way that saves us time and helps us live happier, more creative lives? So with that, I just want to say thank you for having me here. Again, congrats to CCI on their anniversary. And I hope you folks learned some stuff. And I hope to see some really, really good AI marketing coming out of you guys after today.